you know, I said that we are very happy to have you today. The Moroccan community of English teachers, and would like you to you know, to start your presentation anytime you want.
Okay, I am ready to begin. 1, 2, 3, go. Let me tell you what I want to do today. I have several goals. The first one, of course, is I want to tell you what we've been doing for the last 45 years of research. Can you imagine that? It's been that long.
Yes.
And I hope that the information will make your teaching life much easier. And I hope it'll make it more efficient. Your students will learn more, and I hope they'll be happier. Number 3, I want to save you some money. Everything is too expensive now. So I want to see what I can. And this you can profit from. First of all, if you want professional reading material, it's very, very difficult to get, and it's extremely expensive. I cannot afford to subscribe to the professional journals anymore. I can't afford it. I don't have the money. Nobody I know has enough money. I can't buy books. In fact, I'm not publishing any more books because nobody can buy them because they cost too much money. So I want to solve that problem. I am now publishing all of my papers. I've been very, very busy. I've been publishing all my papers in what are called open access journals. Open access journals are free to the author, free to the reader. You can download them. I've been doing that for several years now. In fact, since the virus came, I've been doing a lot of work, and I've published, I think in the last 2 months, about 10 articles in open access journals, and you can read them all for free. First of all, let me clear my throat. First of all, I announce them on Twitter. So you can find them all. I keep people informed. Second, they are all on the internet. They're at sdkrashen.com. D is in David, my middle name, sdkrashen. They're all free download. You can download them. You can share them with your friends. You can share them with anybody except Donald Trump. He won't read them anyway, okay? Don't ask my permission. Don't ask my permission. Just do it. Share them with anyone. Use them for colleagues, students. This is the way all science will be soon, and it has to be. Also, my papers are all short. Let me quote a scientist recently said this. We have to write short papers. When you ask someone the time, you don't want a history of the wristwatch. And that's what my colleagues are doing. The papers are so long in our profession, I can't read them all, and I have more time than most people. And I know the material, I can understand it. But so papers are free and they're short, sdkrashen.com. Please take advantage of us and see if you can, if you publish papers, publish in open access journals, and we will save the profession together. Okay, I want to go through the fundamentals. This is the traditional outline of a talk. I want to go through the theory, hypotheses, and talk about application, okay? Everything begins with some definitions: acquisition and learning. We think that people have 2 different ways of getting better in a language. You can acquire a language, you can learn a language, and they're profoundly different. Acquisition, as you may have heard, is subconscious. While it's happening, you don't know it's happening. You think you're reading a book, having a conversation, listening to Steve Krashen give a lecture, but at the same time, you might be acquiring, and you probably are. Also, when you're finished acquiring, you're not always aware that anything has happened. The knowledge is stored subconsciously in your brain. We've all had experiences like this. I can give you very good evidence that I think you'll agree with. When you hear someone make a mistake in English, can you always tell exactly what rule was broken? No, I can't either. I have a PhD in grammar. Can you imagine that? And I know lots about English grammar. I can't tell. Instead, I have a feeling something was wrong, but I can't quite put my finger on it. That's acquisition. That's what we're talking about. It happens all the time. Okay, that's number one, language acquisition. Number two, language learning. Language learning is what we do in school, unfortunately. Conscious knowledge of language. When we talk about rules, when we talk about grammar, we're usually talking about learning, knowing the names of things. When you use this, when you use that. A noun is the place of a person, place, thing, or idea. The subject and the verb are supposed to agree. This is learning. Error correction is supposed to help learning. You make your mistake, someone corrects you, you change your idea of what the rule is, okay? For example, let's say you're speaking French and you say, j'ai allé là-bas beaucoup de fois, and the other person says, no, it's je suis allé, je suis allé. Then you think, oh yeah, it's conjugated with être, not avoir. This is how we change our conscious knowledges of rules. Important. The language, and this is good news, the language acquisition device, the way we acquire language, never stops. We can do it our entire lives. It doesn't stop when you're 10 years old, 13 years old, 20 years old, 70 years old, and in my case, 79 years old. I'm still doing very well with languages. I work on other languages every day, and it's still a lot of fun and doing well. This is great news. Acquisition is something the brain does very, very well. We're really good at it. Conscious learning, the brain is very bad at it. And that's why we suffer so much in language classes. We suffer teaching, we suffer as students. Okay, that's number one, that's the big one. Second hypothesis kept me very busy in the 1970s, and we had a lot of fun with it. It's called the natural order hypothesis, and it says we acquire, not learn, but acquire the rules of language in a predictable order. Some things come early, some things come in the middle, some things come late. Good example, one of the first grammatical items to learn is the progressive marker, ing. John is playing the violin. What's that noise? He's playing the violin. That one's one of the first to be acquired. The third person singular is late acquired. It can take a long time.
Yes.
Now, the order of acquisition is not dependent on simple to hard. The third person singular seems like a very easy rule. It's easy to understand, but it comes very late. The ing marker is complicated. It can mean immediate future, it can mean ongoing action. It's a little bit complicated. That one is early acquired. Children acquire the ing marker about a year before they get third person singular. For adults, as you know, the third person singular may never come. We all know people who speak English quite well and who drop the S in the third person singular. Very interesting. Let me tell you about my friend, Masayoshi Shibatani. I haven't seen him in a long time, but we got along very well. Matt Shibatani was an MIT Chomsky-trained grammatical theory expert. His specialty was Japanese grammar. That's his first language, but he also knew a tremendous amount about English. His office was right near mine at the university. Whenever I had a question on grammar, I would go ask him. And he always knew the answer. He knew grammar better than anyone I ever met. Third person singular, he made mistakes. In writing, he always got it right. He could think about the rule. In conversation, sometimes he would let it go. He knew the rule. He had known the rule for 40 years. He learned it in school. He studied it. He's taught it. Now, if he doesn't get it in free conversation, that tells us the natural order is not dependent on simple to complex. It has its own logic. You can't change the order. That is remarkable. You can't change. You can't think, well, we'll teach the progressive early and we'll teach the third person singular later. No, it doesn't work that way. It will be acquired when your brain decides that it's ready. We can't change it. We can't hurry it up, etc. Back in 1980, I was very excited. I gave a paper at the TESOL Society in Los Angeles. I like to tell